Hello, everyone. It's your host, Seth the Programmer, and today we are doing a debunk video. We'll be debunking Comic Explains Superman Prime 1 Million versus God Goku. And with me today, I, of course, have Chuck the Cybercuck. And you
What up,
guys,
boys?
and about like 20 of you guys were fucking requesting this, like on our Saitama video. They're just spamming the comments with like a YouTube link that kept going to the spam filter, by the way. But it kept going to the YouTube, like this YouTube link, and it was all Comic Explains video because you guys really want me to debunk this for some reason. So we're gonna get right into it. So this video, how would you put it, Chuck? Like just lazy? Like what would you say?
Basically no analysis, just all backstory, and then
It was
just some half-assed like conclusion at the end.
like honestly, you know when Screw Attack does their little history lesson on two characters, and then like then they like do their little animation, and then they go into more detail with the stats. It was kind of like that, but he only did the history part, and it was just kind of redundant. It didn't make any sense. It was just like, yeah, so Goku was a Saiyan that went to Earth. Superman was a baby that went to Earth from Krypton. Oh yeah, and Superman wins. That was pretty much the video. That was the whole video. Like, there's even this guy.
Here's the thing too. Like, I'm not trying to throw any shade, but I mean, why would he like go to Geekdom? Geekdom doesn't power scale. He just does like Dragon Ball trivia or whatever, or does like super episodes analysis. He doesn't do any of that shit.
He went to Geekdom, who is a pretty proud like Dragon Ball historian, right? And the thing about that, it kind of just proves my point. Why did he come to a historian and not like a fucking Dragon Ball power scaler? Why wouldn't he come to like me or, Laughing Stock or someone else to come for like some fucking feats or something? Why would he ask? He could just go on the Dragon Ball wiki, just look up Goku's history if you wanted that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, because you're small. You're small. That's why.
It's because I'm small. Literally, he should have went to someone that could give him feats, whatever. I mean, his analysis on Goku, what Geekdom gave him was accurate, right? I mean, he said Goku was universal. I mean, he gave the backstory, whatever. That was fine. It's just the lack of effort and emphasis on Goku's abilities was just kind of bad. So, other than that, I mean, we could go into more detail about Goku, but I think our main emphasis should be on Prime 1 Million, and Chuck's going to take it from here.
Okay, guys. So one point that I like to bring up is he basically talks about post-crisis Superman, and he basically relates him to Superman Prime 1 Million. Superman Prime 1 Million is not the same post-crisis Superman. They're not from the same continuity. Post-crisis Superman is one from the main continuity. Superman Prime 1 Million is from like a what if, right? And not to mention, this is basically invalid now because we know that post-crisis Superman is not in the same universe anymore. If you guys have read Convergence, which probably you guys have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about. Convergence is basically when Brainiac is basically takes all these heroes from all these universes, pre-crisis, post-crisis, New 52, and they're put all over the fucking place. Some are even put in the same universe. And post-crisis Superman is now in the New 52 universe, and he basically encounters him. So he's not in the same like continuity anymore, if that makes any sense. And if he's gonna use like another Superman from What If, then why can't I bring up Goku from the What If as well, from the movies, in which Goku has some really crazy feats. It's basically not in the same storyline. It's an alternate dimension. Akira Toriyama even touches up on this.
Yeah,
he says that the movies are basically an alternate dimension or like an alternate story, right?
Yeah, so the movies all take place in a different continuity, kind of like Prime 1 Million and the main canon.
Okay, and if we're gonna use like basically another what if or another continuity for the same character, Goku in the movies some crazy feats. Like in movie 12, Fusion Reborn, Goku like I want to say shakes the afterlife, but he shakes like a portion of it. And the afterlife, is basically like an universe-sized realm, and as like a planet there is heaven, and there's like it's like the Grand Kai planet, right? Yeah, it's around the same size. They're all both galaxy-sized planets, basically. And he shook that shit while he was in hell fighting against Janemba. And Janemba is like a reality warp where he like warped the macroverse. He basically like opened up like the dimensions between the living world. I mean,
yeah, he altered the boundaries of life and death. And also in the main canon, Goku, when he turned into a Super Saiyan 3, he only shook Earth. Whereas in the Fusion Reborn movie, he basically shook the entire all of hell, which is basically a universe, sized realm. So big difference.
And he even damaged Janemba, who is basically a reality warper on a universal plus scale, right? It doesn't like correlate to destructive capabilities, but Janemba's pretty strong in terms of hacks. So if we use like movies Goku, then you can make Super Goku like a lot stronger. Or even if you use Xenoverse 2, but that's not part of the main story, so I'm not even gonna bring it up. It's just an example though.
All we're really saying though is that scaling like a character from, you know, this what if scenario to the main continuity is a little bit fallacious. I mean, how could you say that, you know, post crisis perfectly scales to this what if character? What if this what if character is written differently by someone else entirely who thinks Superman has different abilities? Because as you know, Superman is written by a shit ton of different people, right?
I'll name some right now: Grant Morrison, Jim Starlin, you know, Dwayne McDuffie. You know, these three out of dozens. You know,
and they all give him different feats, and they all perceive his powers differently. So it's honestly really fallacious to, you know, think that way.
Okay, so right now we're going to do an analysis on post-crisis Superman. So he has feats all over the fucking place. He has planet, star, multi-source system with galaxy level, even up to universe and multiverse, which, you know, many of them are outliers and they're pretty consistent.
There's like a lot of outliers and low ends, and this just ties back into the whole writers thinking Superman has different abilities kind of shit.
The thing is, Superman isn't inconsistent, like, in terms of his character. It's more of, like, how the writers perceive him as. Like, there's, like, no tangents, really, because one time you have Superman, you know, I mean, absorbing the power of a bomb that can destroy a galaxy, and then you have him getting knocked out by, like, a supernova, even though, his power derives from the solar radiation, so I don't see how that makes any sense.
Yeah, you get him, he's knocked out by a star blowing up, even though he thrives off that kind of energy. And you also have feats of him, you know, taking out Darkseid, and then you also have another feat of him getting knocked out by a fucking moon. Isn't Emperor Joker post-crisis? I think he is.
Yeah, he is. He actually absorbed power from Mr. Mexi. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's the fifth dimensional imp. And Mr. Mexi is really strong. He can, like, fucking toy with multiverses and destroy them, like, well, so that's flying with bat might.
So that's why he was able to do that. Yeah. Also, as a disclaimer, I want to say that I respectfully disagree with a few of Chuck's showings of Superman. I honestly believe that Superman is more in the star levels. But for the sake of this argument, we're going to be using higher end calculations regardless to obviously give Superman a better chance in this argument.
Okay, so we, like, take all of Superman's feats and, you know, we lay them all out and we, like, basically put them in different ranges. The ones that show up more in consistency are between the multi-source system to galaxy ranges, and here's why. For example, he has feats where he basically matches powers with Orion, who's basically the son of Darkseid. He had enough power to basically throw 1/5 of the universe. That makes him multi-galaxy level. He also punched Darkseid so hard that, you know, it could basically, like, resonate across the star system. He also has other feats like, you know, surviving the planetary collision between Apocalypse and New Genesis and Death of New Gods. And these planets dwarf galaxies. So they're basically comparable to the Grand Kaio planet or Heaven in the Dragon Ball verse. They're not as big, but they're around that range.
How does this calculate to, you know, prime 1 million strength, though?
Basically, if we take how strong Superman can be from just absorbing solar radiation for a couple minutes or a couple hours, we scale that to 15,000 years, and Superman Prime would be really fucking strong, right?
In comparison.
So it's basically, if we scale him, right? Yeah. But the thing is, it's contradicted by what he showed barely showed in the fucking comics, right? You know, what he did against Solaris.
Really, his best feat is galaxy level in his prime 1 million state.
So Solaris is basically this sentient star, data that he could basically bring extinction to life in the system. He destroyed a bunch of Supermen and, you know, basically a bunch of other heroes. It took, like, the Justice League to fucking fight him. And Kyle Rayner actually, like, defeated him. Superman Prime 1 million did not defeat him. Kyle Rayner basically destabilized his core and made him go supernova. And Solaris barely survived this. You know, supernova is basically strong enough to wipe out, like, a solar system. Because we already know that if our sun blows up, it'll wipe out, like, a portion of our solar system.
Before people get into this, a lot of people are like, well, he created a universe. Well, Prime 1 million did not create a universe. Like, literally all he did was he opened up, like, basically a wormhole into another universe, and then he just said, welcome to my universe. That's pretty much some, like, if you watch Naruto, that's some Kaguya shit. Unless you want to say Kaguya is, like, high universal for opening up dimensions and saying that's her universe. Yeah, it's just not going to work. So Superman has no proof he created the universe. He literally just opened up a portal to possibly a different dimension or pocket universe, and besides that, there's no evidence he created it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like saying that, you know, you invite someone over to your house and you're like, welcome to my home. Like, did you make the fucking house? So, like, you building level now?
You're building level.
And, you know, like, we can just debunk Superman Prime 1 million's feats, but I mean, ComicsExplained didn't even, like, say any of this shit. So it's
like, there's honestly no need to go into extreme detail because this guy didn't even try. He didn't even attempt to. So there's, like, almost nothing to really debunk except for the basic claim he made that Superman is limitless, Goku isn't. And who does that remind you of? Oh, once again, Screw Attack. So not only did he just basically take Screw Attack's, little history lesson, but he basically just took the whole limitless calculation and then slapped it onto his video and said GG no RE, right? So so to debunk him not being limitless, he has limited feats. I mean, he needed help reviving Lois, right?
Yeah, so that help, reviving Krypton.
He also needed help defeating Solaris, making his core go supernova and taking, the ring or whatever. And besides that, he's shown no limitless feats. I mean, if you think about it, so Superman has been stated limitless, especially if we're connecting canons like Comics Explained like to do. There's a guy that says that has physical limitations in post-crisis, meaning the only limitless argument you can make is that he absorbed the sun's radiation that made him limitless, but that's a logical fallacy because he absorbed a set amount of energy because the sun can only produce so much energy. So are you saying that the sun has infinite energy? Sure. Runs out of power. It's not
all stars
infinite.
Die.
Yeah. So to say that he's infinite just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And like Chuck was just saying, the best feats he really has are just galaxy level. I mean, multi-galaxy level. And I mean, if you highball him, you can have him at fucking multiversal. If you lowball him, you can have the motherfucker at moon level. You know what I'm saying? So if we take the most consistent feats we have, he's around solar system galaxy level, maybe Prime 1 Million's multi-galaxy if you really want to fucking go there. But Goku, as Comics Explained himself has stated, is universal just as a Super Saiyan God, not even Super Saiyan Blue. That means he's implying base Goku is stronger than Prime 1 Million. So I'm not myself implying base Goku beats Prime 1 Million. Like I said, I'm not really trying to get into that. What I'm trying to get into is I'm just debunking him, and by his logic, base Goku would win, which is honestly very bad. And I mean, if you say that he's not limitless, as we just went over, and neither is Goku. So, I mean, there's no limits to what their power can become by, Superman can absorb as much radiation or power as he fucking wants. He can grow as strong as he wants. Goku can train or whatever, keeps growing stronger in battle as strong as he wants, but it doesn't mean that they're infinite, and people really need to understand that.
Yeah, the only characters that are infinite are basically above. I mean, in terms of, numbers and basically possibilities and within our own dimension, you basically have to be fourth dimensional to be infinite, right? But in terms of infinite power, you have to be, at least omnipotent, right? So people like Spectre or the Presence, basically near infinite power, if not infinite power, because they're the highest tiers in the verse. So first off, we're gonna look at Death New Gods, which ran from late 2007 to basically mid 2008, and here are two big Superman feats. In this comic series, he survived a sourceful explosion. Not the whole thing though. It was only a portion of it that blew up, and he was even shielded from it. So he didn't tank the whole. So he didn't tank the whole explosion.
It's basically quantifiable.
Essentially, the source wall is basically a barrier that covers the multiverse, right? So he didn't tank the whole thing. This is also inconsistent with literally a feat that happens in the same comic series. He basically gets knocked out by a planetary collision between New Genesis and Apocalypse, and these two planets are larger than galaxies, as stated. So basically, if you have a collision between, so galaxy plus level, so are we trying to imply the the sourceful explosion is the same as a galaxy plus level collision, or so if we look at this logically, why would Superman get knocked out by a planetary collision that's at least galaxy plus, maybe multi-galaxy through highballing, when he survives a sourceful explosion, which is basically multiversal scale, right? So how the fuck does that make any sense, considering he was just knocked out? He wasn't fatally wounded. So I mean, are we trying to play the sourceful explosion is around the same range as the the planetary collision, or are we trying to imply the planetary collisions multiversal level, even though they're only galaxy-sized planets? It makes no sense.
More inconsistent writing, and this is actually ironic because it's by the same writer. So obviously the writer was not implying that the source wall was multiversal, but just a small portion of it blowing up for dramatic effect, which is still unquantifiable regardless. So it doesn't scale onto Superman whatsoever. Okay,
and basically another comic series released a couple months after Death of New Gods by a different writer is basically Action Comics 867, and in this comic, Superman gets knocked out by a supernova that Brainiac basically caused to happen.
Fucking star level.
Yeah, which makes no sense because Superman basically feeds and he lives off of solar radiation. So wouldn't the supernova help him? Why would he get knocked out?
Just more inconsistent writing. That's all it is.
About a year later, in JLA Volume 2, number 30, which released around April 2009. basically Superman gets knocked out by using a infinite mass punch on a shadow moon, right?
Yep.
And even through highball calculations is like at least multiplanetary.
Yep.
So he's gonna go from, you know, quote unquote multiversal to, you know, Galaxy Plus to star and then to moon. Like, what the fuck is going on?
The writers, man, they just keep fucking nerfing him. Okay, so if you were to compare Goku versus Superman, like in terms of like how strong they get over time, Goku would be like, if you took a graph, Goku would just have a steady increase going up. There would be no decline whatsoever. It would just constantly go up. It's consistently higher and higher and higher, unless you took a movie, but it goes up consistently. If you take Superman, it's like fucking, it's like up and down. It's spiking. It's like a bunch of, you know, waves on his chart. It's going constantly through the fucking roof, or it's going, you know, abysmal levels in comparison to what he's been before. It's just never consistent. There is no straight, consistent line for you to graph. It's just up and down constantly. There's no way to really consistently scale him.
Okay, so I can think of one refute already. People are going to say, oh, well, Goku only has like 1 or 2 universal feats and the rest are like planetary or, you know, around that range. But here's the thing, though. Goku has about, you know, 1 author, you know, 2 if you count his editor, because editor is basically the one that would approve or disapprove of, you know, whatever story arc or, you know, characters he wanted to introduce.
Just one guy.
Yeah.
It's one guy writing the whole show. He specifically wanted him to be universal in this fight. He made the narrator say it. So he made Whis say it. He made all the Kai say it. He actually made the narrator say it like 3 fucking times. And it's all written by one guy. He clearly wanted to say, okay, the gods are just on a completely different fucking level, and this is a good way to show it, right? Have them punch each other so hard the universe is about to blow up. That's a great way to show how strong they are, and that's exactly what he was trying to get across at the point. And then the rest of the series is somewhat inconsistent because you're like, wait a minute, why are Goku and Hit punching each other and only this fucking tournament tile is blowing up, dude? Like, why isn't the universe shaking? And it's because Goku has mastered his abilities to the point where there is no collateral effect from his powers. In fact, in his fight with Beerus, every clash he did, he was trying as hard as he could to nullify the effect of Beerus's attack so that there would be no outer radiation, like, or force, which is why you don't see it later on in the series. If you guys are trying to be like, oh, well, Goku's not universal, just remember that ComicsExplained himself, the guy we're debunking, has already said Goku was universal in just his God form, let alone as a Super Saiyan Blue, which is exponentially greater than his Super Saiyan Red form. So ComicsExplained has already conceded to Goku being universal. So you denying that in the comments does not refute anything in this video because he's already conceded to that argument.
Keep in mind the tangents or the consistency between like however they write Superman to describe him however the fuck they want, and Goku only has like 1 writer, you know, 2 if you count the editor. But I mean, there's like no argument for, you know, saying Superman's like, you know, more consistent, you know, when it's counter-proven by all these fucking comics, right?
Yeah, and Superman's just honestly just a featless character in the end. I mean, even if you power scale him to post-crisis, it doesn't make him infinite. It doesn't make him fucking Jesus. It doesn't mean he beats Goku. Look, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, ComicsExplained, like, I respect you as, you know, a comic fan, but when it comes to Dragon Ball, you just didn't know what you're really on about. And I mean, Geekdom obviously gave you, you know, the history of Goku or whatever, but if you really wanted to make a good versus video, you should have been like, hey, what's some feats on Goku? You know, I need these feats. You should have spent the whole 10 minutes of the video not talking about who they were and more so what they could do.
People should fucking know at this point, like, their origin story. They've been out for decades. So
yeah, you should have talked about more of what they could do and not who they were. I also want to add on, like, there's a Superman fan on your video. His name is Beto Hacks, and I've debated this guy a lot, but even he was like, yo, there's like, he said that you provided no evidence for him being invincible, and you literally just said Goku hasn't shown any feats on Prime's level and just assume he has, and then just said Superman is invincible, and that's the video. That's what a Superman fan just told you.
Okay, so in short, Goku would fucking shitstomp Superman Prime 1 million because, as we stated, you know, and gave examples, Superman is very inconsistent, and I mean, Superman Prime 1 million showed nothing. Yeah, he basically showed nothing on Goku's level. Right, so if you scale him, then he could possibly be higher than multi-galaxy. But I mean, that's fucking nothing to Goku, which even if we downplay him, he would be at least galactic, you know, since his fight with Beerus. And then, you know, he's gone a lot stronger since then. He's done years of training in the hyperbolic time chamber with Vegeta, you know, in preparation.
And there's even the argument that base Goku's as strong as Super Saiyan God, right? So you could even argue base Goku's on that fucking level, and then multiply that by 400 for Super Saiyan 3, then give him fucking Super Saiyan Blue, give him Kaioken. It's just beyond universal. Beyond universal, especially after the Goku Black arc. Oh my god. They got so powerful after that. So really, they're just way too strong for Superman's feats. I mean, feel free to disagree, guys, but you have to agree that Comics Explained did not touch up on this topic very well. And I hope you guys enjoyed the debunk. If you enjoy what I do, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe to my man Chuck as well. And other than that, guys, till next time.
Peace out.